Welcome to this brief presentation of TIESS, Travel Industry Exchange and Settlement Solutions. In this overview, we'll be going over the TIESS main portal, as well as additional modules that add to the solutions, such as the sales controls for commissions management and the payments gateway module for credit card billing in real time, as well as a virtual POS. TIESS portal was built to be a market portal having multiple travel agencies and partners that relate to suppliers, airlines, consolidators, or tour operators, mostly non-air or airline, but non-BSP related. It's built to consolidate all travel transactions and everything into a single place, a single portal. In TIESS, we load all travel-related data and have workflow activities such as dispute handling at the transaction level. We set up customized sales periods or standard sales periods based on the supplier rules. And we drive billing statements and bank settlements, also controlling balances and clearing of those balances. TIESS can be seen as a similar operation to the BSP. You can see invoice containing credit sales, cash sales, and all the clearing that goes with it, relating to commissions, taxes, and all of that happening on standard consolidated reports. For the sales controls commission management, it is the central contract and agreement repository. Has two main functions. One is prior to invoicing, another one post-invoicing, which is used for audits. Prior to invoicing, we check commercial agreements, adjust base commissions, over commissions, discounts, and show them in the invoice along with the billing and settlement moment. For travel data that has already been settled by the BSP or another settlement tool, the sales controls module provides audits to drive credit memos, debit memos between partners for financial adjustment. And ultimately, for this presentation, we'll see the credit card real-time virtual POS, which is a TIESS payment gateway solution used to connecting to TIESS to provide real-time captures, authorization, and also allows for offline captures where the solution allows for a web screen for call center use or integrated use directly from a sales portal. Please keep in mind that from a data security standpoint, all modules are PCI DSS compliant and certified. And at any time when offering TIESS solutions to the customers, we have a proof of concept run methodology where as long as the customer provides us with data, we are willing and able and will be more than glad to load data into TIESS so the customers, future TIESS customers can actually see their data in use and check out the modules for themselves. Okay, let's jump here into greater detail on the TIESS, the actual TIESS main portal. The TIESS module is where all the partners and suppliers log in and work on. It is a multi-language module, multi-company code, as we call it. So you would be able to log in and see operations in different markets, and also the whole market or country's partners and agencies would be able to log in. TIESS provides the supplier and the market with a global vision and a standardized vision where standard reporting and standard workflows are provided for the market as a whole. On the portal, we have implemented tour consolidators, ticket resellers, tour operators, and we can possibly implement any travel-related partner. For as main items here, the solution includes disputes at the transaction level, commission controls, adjustments to transactions prior to billing, presentment, and actual settlement, balance and settlement clearing analysis based on bank files and return files to see how the settlement went, agency defaults and such, taxes, breakdowns and details. On the specific remittance and settlement, we interact with the banks, analyze and drive debits and credits, and also drive the settlement of the funds. This is a basic flow overview, as we'll be seeing. The ticket sales and files come from multiple formats. They can come in as red files, hot files, any travel data. Some customers send us data in standard Excel files. The files can also come in through SFTP, secure FTP connections, in an automated fashion where we normally run nightly jobs. So on a day-to-day basis, the whole market will be able to see the data, suppliers, and the partners. From a general flow view, input files would come in, we process the files, and drive statements and bank files. As needed, once we load the files, the sales controls module can be applying and recalculating commissions. TIESS can also be the main reader of those files and can act as a switchboard to send data to the BSP. So once, if this is for an airline, not just a travel agency, if an airline is working on a transition to the BSP, the TIESS solution can be used for flagging those agencies as accredited and non-accredited, and then they can be sent via web link integration to the BSP. So the flagging occurs at the agency level on the market, and data can be sent to the BSP also. One of the solutions that we always reinforce is the dispute mechanisms that allow the agencies to interact with the suppliers at the transaction level, and also at the statement and invoice production level. The bank files are produced, and we are the main driver of all the debits and credits involving the transfer of funds, including transborder transfers or transfers between countries, or consolidating actual funds deposits in a specific country for the travel partner supplier. On a very simplistic view, you would have the supplier. The supplier could be an airline doing direct sales, a travel operator, tour operator, sends their data to TIESS. We process, send data to the bank. Bank returns the files to us. We drive all the statements with everything that happened, and allows that to be instantly available on the portal for all the parties involved. On a more detailed level, again, you would have data coming in from multiple forms, hot, reds. You would have the data coming in from multiple formats, hot, reds, XML, Excel. The TIESS module has ticket loaders, travel data loaders, and they work together with the sales controls modules to apply commissions, and ultimately the data is in the TIESS portal. Attached to that, we have the payments gateway available. Looking at the main processes, you would see production of invoices. Invoices even for corporate sales, since we have non-standard sales periods, you can work on a monthly format, billing data for billing transactions for corporate sales, while having a weekly non-BSP agency sales period occurring simultaneously. We would be integrating with the banks, clearing final amounts also with the banks, knowing that the deposits did occur. We integrate with revenue accounting within the travel agency producing hot files or direct accounting related files with debits and credits. Generate also integration to WebLink. And over here, a few more details of inputs, outputs, user actions that can be done in the main portal. Jumping a bit into the screens, we have the actual system running again. If needed, we can present this at any time to the customer. So please just at any time set up the actual live system. If they have data, they can send it to us so we can drive a full proof of concept. The partner view is one of the main functions of the system. You have a central database, and within TIESS, they receive a TIESS ID, a TIESS code. But at all times, if you look at the bottom here of the presentation, you would be seeing a conversion tables where we can actually use the codes that come from the partners. So the data coming in, travel data coming in, using a pseudo city code from GDSs or the supplier's internal IDs from their systems, we would simply map those into TIESS codes. So we have a central database and all the mapping between the different IDs. And this means that there would be minimum change on the customer system side on implementation. And the customer ultimately has the authority of linking that TIESS partner to his operations. And on this same moment is where all the bank data, settlement countries, contact, and anything finance related to that customer is also set up. TIESS also allows you to define how to drive the settlement, if it's going to be through BSP or a direct non-accredited agency invoicing. Again, this would be the moment where TIESS can flag the agency to be routed through a direct billing and settlement mechanism within TIESS or to be sent to WebLink for processing on the BSP, on a standard BSP operation. TIESS also has full head office mechanisms, so we can group various sub-agencies into a main agency. Looking a bit at transactions, this would be a work screen. You'd be able to query invoices or go all the way down to the transaction level. We would have all the transactions in a standardized way. And those would be consolidated into invoices. You would see the transaction standard types. So you would have all the basic IATA travel documents, such as tickets, refunds, ADMs, ACMs, miscellaneous travel documents. If the supplier has a secondary selling system for example, for ancillary sales, they would also appear here consolidated. Again, it says baggage, miscellaneous, and such. Keep in mind, we can receive data from separate systems and consolidate them as standard transactions within TIESS, not only limited to the main GDS, RET, or hot files. Additional sales documents, travel-related, can also be fed into the system. Data would always be available for querying at all levels. We report in multiple formats, Excel files, XML, or PDFs. The partner at any time could be downloading that data, looking at the transactions, and ultimately looking at the most detail within the transactions with taxes, forms of payments, and any data related. For the actual statement piece, Standard and customized sales periods may be controlled and driven from TIESS, so you can have weekly sales, biweekly, monthly, even daily, and these can be predefined or set up directly by the supplier. Then at this moment, the statement would contain all the transactions that would be coming in from GDS sales or their sales portals. TIESS would then revise commissions, that is standard within TIESS, check the actual relation as to the final net financial result of the transactions, and produce those on the invoices. Ultimately, you would have a standard billing statement and reporting occurring, and final net amounts applied to a certain billing period, ultimately showing if the operation would have the money going towards the agency or towards the supplier, basically clearing the final amounts in a net fashion. For tour operators and travel agencies, we can also drive a multi-section billing statement. For example, having a breakdown between hotel section, airline, and car rental section within the billing statement. So you would have inbound data coming in that can be air travel data. You can have hotel data coming in from their hotel wholesaler, and also even car rental data coming in from their partners. And all that can be consolidated from a single partner into a single standard report with multiple sections. So in this case, I can be a travel consolidator operator, and I would be invoicing multiple sub-agencies that I have, showing multiple commercial relations that we have with them. Finally, on the actual statement section, we would be the drivers of the final net amount, showing which partners we should be crediting and debiting to produce the final settlement amounts and final settlements to the actual bank accounts. All this data is also fully available to be regenerated back to an airline or back to a travel agency as final accounting data, such as in hot files, or even direct accounting data for their ERPs, accounts receivables, accounts payables, and general ledgers in accounting form. And this pretty much wraps up the overview of the TIESS portal. Let's jump into the sales controls module. Sales controls is focused mostly on air travel sales, applies also to any other travel document, but would cover anything related to commissions between suppliers and their market partners. So you could be a tour operator and you would have commissions that you're settling with the agencies you're selling to. Any agreements that you have would be consolidated into this module. Percentages, dates, flat rate commissions, groups, among others. Commissions would be defined on the inbound travel data. So at times we can see travel data that contains commission that the sales controls and commission module can even remove. So it would be the central point to treat all contract and agreement. The two can be used in parallel to other controls that the TIESS customers would have. So it would even help in situations where they're activating new markets or they need a fast implementation of a new commercial contract or business rules being applied to their data. So all this can happen quite fast. We even have Excel templates to upload agreement and contract data to help expedite activations. So this would, again, help on the full support on every step of the commission, even including net fares and groups and all other agreements in the life cycle. The commission here applies according to the contract rules set up by the client and allows direct querying of those commissions and history directly on the TIESS portal. And always, the commission management module can be used prior to billing and also as a sales audit piece after settlement in 2 separate moments. Okay? Just remembering a bit of what we were saying, we can have files coming in, travel data coming in, and before I actually route this to the BSP or to TIESS to produce billing statements, the sales control module can recalculate commissions, again, applying, adjusting, or removing commission for the suppliers. On a more detailed view, you would be checking travel data coming in. Again, we even have a sample of BSP hot files. Always thinking about the 2 moments prior to invoicing and post-invoicing. So you would always be able to see all data in the sales control module acting as a post auditor, where we can produce sales audits reports, both for BSP and non-BSP sales. We can also produce the debits and credit memos, including integration into BSP Link. All contracts can be manually maintained or uploaded through templates. If you look at the net fares or net settlement, we can be applying and transforming ticket data prior to the actual billing moment. So we can transform, apply commissions, change commissions, and then send that into the invoices, or then send that into WebLink to be processed by the BSP. Additional integrations, reports, and other data also listed down here. So let's jump a little bit here into some of the screens we have. All right. Over here you can have you have the main contract screen where you have your contract IDs, the main data. You can query data for the contract, check it for status. You have different ways that you can do workflows and pretty much have the contracts in preparation and then activate the contract. So you have proper statuses that control the multiple contracts you have in the system. Contracts will be tied to agency groups. That'll be shown a little bit later on. And this would be a basic screen where you can define the actual commission being applied, validates expiration dates, and also any other incentive percentage or incentive rules you might have. You would pretty much have multiple set of parameters that once a ticket is coming in will be filtered through these parameters. And again, some of these will be departure dates, return dates, the actual flight legs containing destination cities, origin cities. And these can all be controlled, from multiple parameters. It's been multiple years in the making of the platform. So again, there's not much. We've seen pretty much all the commercial creative rules that we might have stumbled into are in there. So parameters such as weekdays, flight numbers, and anything you might need to actually apply or remove commissions would normally be in there. This would be a part where you can define city exceptions and cities to be applied. These may contain airport lists, country lists, continent lists, whatever type of grouping an airline or the travel operator might need. And these city groups will be affected wherever you want to apply legs in combination with classes, tariff bases, additional dates based on the ticket being analyzed. You would also be able to see remarks added to a contract, where if it's being still created or it's under construction, you can have history data and info in there. And at any time you have a log or a strong audit trail showing you any changes made to the contracts to support future audits. There, on the agency grouping side, you can rely on TIESS to do all the conversion between IDs. So you can see the supplier sending files and data in. All that would be routed into a TIESS code, and you would have a TIESS partner code where you can group all these IATA agencies or non-IATA agencies, and then relate that group of agencies into specific contracts. So you can do that to do your regional commissions. You can drive regions or types of agencies or type of operators between the contracts and tie them to the contract so that the commissions would be applied. Now we jump straight into a few samples of how the sales controls and the commission controls would apply the commissions to the tickets. So let's jump into a simple contract samples, so we can show how we apply the contract and show what the end result would look like. So we pretty much separated 3 contracts, and these contracts relate to direct destinations, which is the sample in contract 1. Contract 2 would relate to a special group of IATA codes. Contract 3, a special group of tour codes that were set up. And there are just a few samples of the data, the IATA codes in green and the tour codes there in brown. In the first example, we would have a ticket being issued. It would be matched, again, on multiple parameters and filtered. So from the ticket data, we locate what commission we're working with and what commission to be applied. This guy works for all agencies. So it would fit both in contract number 1 and contract number 2. And based on basic requirements from the supplier, in this case, if more than one contract is found, the exception will be the one to be applied. So in this case, even though the ticket fits in 2 contracts, based on the commission rules, we would apply 10% commission, since this is an IATA code that participates on the special IATA code list, which was a group set up by the supplier, by the TIESS user there. A second example, if we look at the data, all 3 contracts could apply. 2 or more exceptions were found. Again, direct business rules. They would find a sequence and go from tour code to IATA code. A special tour code was found. So in this case, we applied contract number 3, since tour code ABC wasn't used, and that one is built to remove commissions. So in this case, it fit into the filter set up for contract 3, removing the commission. Example number 3, we found no contracts would apply. Just a basic example, we would have a departure from another country. We checked the departure city codes. It did not fit in any of the 3 contracts, so the base commission is then set to 0, as defined by the customer. For the commission control general benefits, again, multiple ways of entering contract data and agreement data, even through spreadsheet templates. You can enter basically all types of contracts, agreements, MOUs, and these guys can be printed based on the template. So this can act as a central contract repository. All sales reps could have access to the TIESS commission controls and actually enter and work on commissions, or this can be handled centrally through the contract managers within the organization. Allows for pre-invoicing routines. We already read a bunch of travel data standards, a bunch of ticket standards from multiple systems and hotels and again, multiple travel data formats. You would have workflow routines to allow for contract preparation and activation. You would have output of sales statistics, contracts, sales reps, basic data can be output from the system. The web-based application allows you to query, look at the contracts, look at the results. You can have commissions applied to non-BSP routines. Again, working with or working directly with BSP web link, so you can receive data without override commission and discounts and incentives, and the commission controls tool can apply that commission prior to sending to the BSP and solve that issue for the TIESS customer. Also has full integration to other TIESS modules. So anything you see happening here, you would see also being supported by the actual settlement processes within TIESS. And any integration to any other systems is always available. TIESS contains a proper development team allowing for change requests and a customization flows within TIESS to help support any additional integration. So if a customer has a secondary system or an outside system that it wants to feed data into the TIESS commission control, that would be a possibility and would be fully available. And this wraps up the commission controls piece. Jumping into the credit card real-time and virtual POS, which is basically a payment gateway that is attached and available for the TIESS customers, allowing authorizations and captures in real time through a web screen, virtual POS, or authorization and captures through integration, an XML integration, or through web services. So if a travel agency has a selling portal and they want to use us as their gateway, we can provide them with a messaging communication standard so they can approve and capture the credit card billing form of payment in real time. And we also have an offline capture mechanisms that we provide for our customers. From an overview flow, you would see, again, standard ticket data coming in or a direct real-time integration to the gateway. The gateway has multiple connectivity, so we call it a hub where you have multiple acquirers in multiple countries, operations set up within the gateway. You can connect non-standard APIs and ask for customizations and specific processes on the gateway. From a support vision of TIESS, we also produce and drive capture flat files for offline operations also, again, as support items. Additional integration set up over here. User actions and reports outputs available from the gateway and the offline captures engine. As you would see, a sample screen of how we would set that up. We would have all the mapping between acquirers and different credit card brands. And they can set up, for example, Visa is done through this acquirer, MasterCard on this acquirer, or if I'm this partner, I would use this acquirer. If I'm that partner, I could use this other acquirer. Again, the routing and the mapping between the multiple partners can be done inside the TIESS gateway. And two main functions would be the manual use. So if the travel agency has a call center and they want to use that to capture collect credit card information and bill it directly on a PCI secure platform. That would be a screen that is fully available to them, which includes travel data, so it helps on reconciliation and reporting. Or on the right side here, you would be seeing a sales portal or an OTA operation simply connecting to us as a standard gateway, connecting to multiple acquirers and financial partners throughout the world. TIESS can also be used as a secondary gateway, a backup gateway, if for example, a travel partner needs a solution like that, or again, a primary hub switch gateway to help them in credit card or credit billing operations. And this wraps up the third module, which was the credit card RealTime, the virtual POS. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. And for further information, you have the contact data below.